Do you know does it have a name?
I think this is the George ditch. This is where I come to run when the city streets are too hot, and this is all gravel surface, so it's softer to run on, but it also doesn't hold as much heat, so we can come here on hot summer nights when it's maybe still over 90 degrees and the dogs in particular have a really hard time in the heat, but the gravel isn't holding as much heat as the bricks on the sidewalk downtown or the asphalt on University holds at night. So it means that we can go running in the summertime, otherwise we couldn't. This ditch is just dug in the dirt for most of this reach, and then it disappears under college here. The culvert, and it comes back out on the other side, and then on either end of this 2-block stretch it disappears entirely into culverts underneath the cityscape.
How would you encourage social activity in these sorts of interstitial spaces?
Well, it's hard to say. I don't see people on this ditch that often because this isn't part of the, there are official walkways and bikeways along the canal system that are being expanded, where I imagine a lot of people do running and other kinds of recreation. But this isn't part of that, so I don't see a lot of people here, and it's not even lit at night, except for at the street crossings. But there are signs that this is kind of a community space. I like that there are signs along the trees that they planted recently that ask.
These trees?
Yeah, these trees were all planted a couple years ago by the homeowners here, and to replace trees that had been here historically along the ditch.
So the homeowners have taken it on themselves to beautify it?
Yeah, and they've made little signs that say not to spray them with herbicides.
And here's our water.
Yeah.
So this is water coming down the ditch. It's actually no cooler than the ground around it. The ground's actually a little cooler.
Fish jumping like another block up.
Let's go see the fish jumping. And there I can see bushes and rocks and stuff. It's just interesting. You can see. You can tell it's the same thing, but you can see such different spectra. What's the temperature difference here versus a major road like University?
I don't know what it is in degrees. I know that when you're walking towards University in the nighttime, in the summer, you would know that you were there with your eyes closed and your ears plugged, because it feels like hitting a wall of heat. I mean, it's got to be at least 5 degrees hotter, and than just the surface streets in the neighborhood. And then this is probably 5 degrees cooler or something like that, if I had to guess. I'm waiting for a time at night for the temperatures to go to 90 or below. And 5 degrees could be the difference of a couple hours of cooling in the nighttime. So it's the difference between being able to go for a walk or a run at 8 or 9 o'clock versus midnight or 6 o'clock in the morning or something like that. It's mostly just that it's not paved. And probably also that there's all these backyards that back onto the canalway. So it's really pretty, not a lot of big heat sinks to heat up during the day.
What kind of animals do you find here that they're all excited about?
That was just a cat that they surprised, but we come down here actually at sunset or dusk sometimes to see if we can see the foxes that live down here and use this as a corridor to travel along, and it connects with the rail corridor, so it gives them a lot of access to the neighborhood that is far away from the streets and cars. And so the way that I found out about this place was that I was always looking for places I could run, and I don't live close enough to any of the canals that have designated pedestrian right-of-ways along them. But on Google Maps I could see that there is what looked like a canal here, and it's just off of Mill Avenue. You can see it when you're driving through that there's something there that looks a little bit out of the ordinary, and so I scoped it out and on the map first and ran down here bit by bit, and I just discovered by exploring along it that it connects to the rail right-of-way that makes a big arc past Tempe High School, or the high school, and up along the west side of Mill and cuts through the neighborhood where I live. And the rail right-of-way and some of the dirt alleyways along Mill Avenue that connect to George Ditch here are all really fun to run and walk along. They're quiet and scenic and cool, and possibly, I'm not sure, illegal to actually be on because they're not public spaces. They're owned by the city, or they're owned by possibly the rail companies. And so I try to be respectful, but I feel like usually when I meet people along the alleyway or along the ditch, they seem glad that other people are using the space. And so I hope that it works out. I wish that we had more designated access like this. Part of the appeal is maybe that it's a little bit wild or a little bit forgotten. And it's a little bit trashy. This is cement lined when you get this far. Because all there is here, between the end of this, where this culvert starts, and where the rail picks up, is the hospital. St. Luke's Hospital is the only thing between here and there. And then I've looked for where this ditch picks up again, where it's open and not in a culvert, and that's probably another mile or more, a mile and a quarter.
This side of I-10?
West. Yeah, and it runs under I-10 and continues. So this is Mill Avenue, just across from St. Luke's Hospital, and Mill actually takes a dive underneath the rail crossing. The rail is at grade, so a little bit of a trick to navigate on your bike, or as these folks are doing with a wheelchair. There's an alleyway that runs at grade level, and it becomes just dirt and connects with the rail right-of-way, which is this big swath that makes this bend around the back of the hospital.
Where is it?
The alleyway is here, just straight going parallel along Mill, and then from there you could actually, if you wanted to walk right on the rails, which would be a very unsafe idea, you could walk along the rail right away. But the alleyways kind of make a informal network of trails, at least informal for pedestrians, but probably well-established highway for foxes and raccoons and other wild animals.
So there's two types of infrared as far as cameras go. There's near infrared, like my Sony Handycam, and there's far infrared, like the Seek thermal camera. The difference is one can see kind of close to what we can see in a redder frequency of light, and the other can actually see heat.